In this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 12 digital marketing tips to help you grow your business. And it all starts right now with tip number 1, YouTube. Probably no surprise here that, after all, we are on YouTube, creating a YouTube video and engaging with each other on this platform. But the reality is now more than ever, this has become one of the go-to resources people are currently seeking out in order to engage with others, in order to learn new strategies, learn new tips, essentially just consume more information, because now more than ever, we're seeing this massive surge in online content consumption. Now, of course, what this has to do with is supply and demand. So if there's an increase in demand for the content and the information that you possess, well, it only makes sense to try to meet that demand with supply, which means that you should be creating content on this channel, on this platform, if at all possible. Now, I appreciate there are some barriers to entry with getting involved in YouTube, specifically the whole camera thing, the whole being on camera, talking to this inanimate object. Now, I know you're on the other side of this, listening and watching this, but right now, I'm alone in my office, and let's be honest, it's kind of weird to talk to a lens. But if you can get over that hurdle, if you can accept the fact that what you have, what you know is valuable and could really help people, well, this is a great channel to go out there, provide more value, to build your authenticity, to build your brand, to create awareness, really help to serve the people that you seek to serve, which can only do good things to grow your business. All that said, if YouTube is not for you, let's move on to tip number 2, which is a podcast. You see, when it comes to either choosing YouTube or choosing a podcast, I like to group both of these into something called long-form content. Essentially, it's content marketing that's going to take a little bit longer to consume by your audience than, say, just your stereotypical Facebook post or Instagram story, or something that people are kind of like quickly thumbing through their newsfeed through and they can consume in like 3 to 30 seconds. Whereas long-form content like a YouTube video or like a podcast episode, well, typically people are going to be watching a YouTube video for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, and they could listen to a podcast episode for 15, 20, even 25 minutes. Not to mention, with a podcast episode, and with conducting your own podcast, you kind of remove that barrier to entry of having to be on camera. So if you don't like the idea of talking to the lens, of hitting record and really just staring right into this blank lens, again, I know you're there, but right now, granted, it is a little bit weird. Well, if you're not ready for that step, a podcast is fantastic, especially if you've just recently gotten a new quarantine-style haircut and you're not ready to show it off to the world. All right, moving right along to tip number 3, which is our good old buddy, email marketing. Now, I appreciate email marketing has been around since the very beginning of the internet when the first email was sent offering a sales message, but that doesn't make it any less relevant or any less important today. Now, I totally understand. Email open rates are going down. People are consuming less email. They're subscribing to more newsletters, but not opening them. I get all that. But the reality is even with those statistics, even with decreased open rates, even with new laws and GDPR and anti-spam laws and all of these things, well, it's still an incredibly effective medium. And in fact, it boasts one of the highest return on investments available to marketing, simply because, well, how much money does it cost to write an email? Probably nothing, unless you hire someone to do it for you. But the reality is that the return on investment for writing that email, for conducting business, for building that authority, for engaging with your community, with your subscribers, with your customers, it's a phenomenal tool. Plus, yes, email open rates are going down. We're going to have a suggestion for that in just a second. But regardless, yes, email rates are still going down, but just think about how you interact with those people that you know in your life, with your friends, with your family, with trusted professions as well, like your doctor and your accountant. They're not sending you a social media post. Odds are pretty good. If you've got an upcoming appointment with your doctor or your lawyer or your accountant or whatever, they're probably sending you an email. If not, they're going to be sending you the next thing, which I'd like to talk about now. So our next tip is all about SMS. Now, text marketing has quickly become my preferred form of communication for many of my clients and many of my students. In fact, all of the issues that we're seeing right now with email marketing, the decreased open rates, people just not engaging with the content, all of these seem to be corrected, at least right now, with SMS marketing. We're getting massive open rates. We're getting really good engagement and really good responses. Now, here's the issue. Just like if we rewind a decade ago for email marketing, when we had to be somewhat careful because email was still more of an intimate channel, people didn't really want to give away their email address, we're kind of in that phase right now with SMS and texting people. So there is a way to do it, but you've got to be very strategic, and you've got to be very ethical, and you've got to make sure that you're actually providing value and seeking to sort of encourage and engage and really get a conversation going rather than just being spammy. Sounds obvious, but easier said than done. So if you're going to take a look at SMS, make sure to be strategic about it. All right, let's bring it back with number 5, and let's head back to the social media networks, and this one's all about social content. Like I alluded to at the very beginning with number 1 being YouTube, well, this one is going to be about all the other social networks, and all of the same things that we talked about there are going to apply equally here. Essentially, there's an increased demand for social content because a ton more people are consuming a whole lot more content right now. So it's your job, your responsibility, probably most importantly, your opportunity to go out there and create a ton of content to feed the beast, to feed the social media algorithms what they want, which is stuff. So if you can create stuff, funny stuff, valuable stuff, educational stuff, how-to stuff, FAQs, testimonials, whatever. Just create some stuff and get it out there on the social networks. The algorithm is going to help you by sorting and sifting through your stuff, and it's going to promote your best stuff and hold your worst stuff back. Pretty sure I said stuff like a million times there, but regardless, you need more stuff. All right, for the next tip, we're going super old school, and we're going back to that human-to-human connection, which is all about networking and building relationships. This is a fantastic time to reach out to old friends, to old partners, to old joint venture relationships that you may have had, old mentors, old teachers, old students, whatever the case. Reach out again and sort of rekindle that relationship, that conversation, that friendship, and start to look for areas that you can provide value and help other people. Now, here is a massive tip with doing effective networking and effective outreach. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to take the majority of the burden of responsibility on providing value and put it on yourself. So possibly the worst outreach is, hey, what are you doing? How can I help? Because if you haven't talked to them in any length of time, they probably don't really know what you're up to. So how would they know how you can help? Much better off to reach out and say, hey, I'm doing this. I noticed you were doing that. What do you think if I were to do this for you? Or how could I help you if I did that? Or something like that. Way more effective and certainly way more valuable than just that random, hey, how can I help you? Which is probably the worst networking outreach ever. All right, for our next tip, we're getting super strategic and talking all about target market re-evaluation. Now, the current economic situation that we're in right now means that money is changing hands. It doesn't mean that money has completely disappeared, but rather there's a redistribution of wealth. We're seeing some people get richer, we're seeing some people struggle and get poorer. Some fortunate, but that's really just how this economy works right now. Also, what we're seeing is certain industries just getting decimated and other industries thriving and really taking advantage, which sounds super sleazy, but regardless, really embracing the opportunity to serve and continue to provide value to those they seek to serve. So what this means for you is you have an opportunity right now to take a look at your business model, at your target market, and make sure that you're serving the right people with the right products, the right services, and the right offers. Again, you've got to be aware of where we're at right now and where we're going for the rest of the year and possibly the rest of the decade. Things have changed. Consumer behavior has changed. People are more jaded, more cynical, maybe a little more skeptical. So now is an opportunity to start looking for those people that you can really serve and maybe possibly even pivot your business to ensure that you're well positioned for the future. Now, I'd love to be able to tell you to go in this direction or go in that direction, but without knowing your business or your market or your industry or your ideal customer avatar, it's hard for me to do that. So the best advice that I can offer in a video like this is really to set aside some time to do some serious thinking. Grab a pen, grab some paper, spend an hour and a half, and really ask yourself questions like, how am I positioned to serve people? Or who are the best people that I could serve? Or what's the most valuable service that I could offer? Where do I see the market going? And things like that. This will be time well spent. All right, so building on that last point, which is all about target market reevaluation, making sure that you're serving the right people in the context of the market today, well, the building on this is all about offer adjustment. And essentially what it is it's taking everything that you've just done in that previous step by really drilling down into who you want to serve and what they're going through and trying to find ways to reevaluate and retweak your offer. Now, here's what I mean by retweaking your offer. You want to be aware of whether you're selling an essential or a non-essential service. And of those, there's other kind of subsegments of it. But the point that I really want to make here is, are you selling something that people need and want and really are willing to go spend money after right now? Or are you selling something that we're going to call a deferrable, something that they can put off until next week or next month or next year? And if that's the case, you need to readjust your offer. You need to reevaluate what it is, what kind of messaging, what kind of marketing you're putting out to the world and to your market, and make sure that there's some good alignment so that you're actually selling something that people want today, right now. Now, this can mean maybe even doing some basic lead gens, putting out some valuable content or some valuable lead magnets in order to collect some customer contact details, anything like that that's going to help position you for success in the future when everything kind of settles down. All right, my next tip here is all about 95-5. Now, you've probably heard of the 80-20 principle, or the Pareto's principle, which essentially says that 20% of your efforts are going to result in 80% of your outcomes. This is true pretty much across your customers and your market and your marketing and your business and all things like that. But the reality is we're shifting even closer to a 95-5 split. Perry Marshall came out with the 80-20 sales and marketing book. Fantastic book, has been a guest on the podcast, truly great guy. Recently, he said that we're shifting more towards a 95-5 ratio, which means that 5% of your efforts are going to result in 95% of your outcomes. 5% of the businesses are going to start acquiring 95% of the customers, which means you really want to ensure that you're carving out a niche or an area in your market where you can be the top, the best of the best, and really try to own and claim your category, because things are shifting. Again, mentioned this before, there's wealth redistribution, some industries are getting a lot richer, some industries are getting decimated right now. You want to do some time and really try to figure out essentially where you can dominate, where you can own, where you can carve out your own position and brand it as something that you stand for. Now, this is also known as the Blue Ocean Strategy, which is another great business and marketing strategy book, but essentially what this is saying is you want to try to carve out your own niche, your own area, and really own an area of uncontested market space, rather than diving into really hyper-competitive markets where, again, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath as people are competing for limited resources, limited attention, and limited customers. So spend some time thinking on that one, and let's move on to the next tip. All right, my next digital marketing tip to really help you survive and thrive is all about study time. I'm spending an inordinate amount of time right now doing study. I'm reading more books, I'm listening to more podcasts, I'm taking more courses, I'm involved in more masterminds, I'm having more conversations with colleagues and mentors and friends, and really trying to wrap my head around everything that's going on right now in order to position myself and my clients and my students in the strongest position possible moving forward. And the only way to do that is by getting good inputs in the first place. After all, great ideas don't just come out of nowhere. They're normally piqued or sparked by some kind of inspiration or some kind of input first. This is a great expression of garbage in, garbage out. Well, this is absolutely true when it comes to coming up with new creative digital marketing strategies. You've got to take in a ton of different inputs and ideas and inspiration, and then you can process it, filter it through all of your experience and your business and your customers, and then you can put out really creative, really effective marketing that is going to be in alignment. So you're going to be able to take all of these valuable inputs, process them, sort them, evaluate them, conduct the old 80-20 or 95-5 analysis on them, pick those 5 best ones that are going to deliver 95% of your results, and then apply them to your business. Again, only way to do this is with some serious study time. So if you're not actively reading or listening to audiobooks or consuming courses, now's the time. All right, my next digital marketing tip to help you grow your business is all about understanding the shifts and the changes that we're seeing right now with consumer behavior. Essentially, we've kind of been touching on this one throughout the video, but the reality is that people are spending way more time online. They're consuming way more content online, and we're starting to watch people make way more purchases online as well. This is incredibly important because if you were already serving your business online and they were interacting with you online, that's fantastic. But the reality is there's a whole new area of the market. People that have been maybe a little late to adopt it or a little hesitant or skeptical about hiring someone online or doing online training or online courses, well, those barriers are pretty much getting crushed right now. People are coming to online courses, online training, online consultants, online coaches now more than they ever have before. And this trend is unlikely to slow down because the reality is we've been kind of saying this for years, but online's kind of great, right? Like, it's easy, it's accessible, it's fast, it's incredibly convenient. And with more people starting to realize that, well, once they've got a taste, it's going to be hard to go back to the old way of doing things when they know they can now get things on demand pretty much immediately. So what this means for you is you've got to make sure that you're capitalizing and positioning your business and your marketing in order to serve the people how they want to be served, which unsurprisingly, is with more online content, online access, online resources and courses and training and everything that your business is designed to offer your customers. All right, my next digital marketing tip is all about analyzing and evaluating. Now, I'm a big fan of the saying that what got you here won't get you there, but the reality is like all things, there's a caveat here, right? In the case that what got you here may very well be what gets you there. So don't throw out everything that you've done in order to be successful up to this point in hopes of chasing new shiny objects, and really just forsake everything that you've done up until this point to be successful. Because the odds are, if it's worked up until now, well, maybe a few simple tweaks or a few simple adjustments or optimizations, maybe that's all that's needed. Or maybe all you need to do is just more of what you've already been doing. But again, it's really hard for me to know the exact steps for you through a video like this. So I want to encourage you to take a look back at everything you've done up until this point in order to be successful. Look through some of your best performing months and try to find the trends or the new strategies or the new funnels or the new webinars, the new ads that you launched that delivered those massive results. And now might be a very good time to recycle those, repurpose them, and launch them out again to the market. All right, so now that we've got that covered, the very next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video I have linked up right here on Introduction to Marketing. So make sure to check that out now, and I'll see you in the next episode.